Hello everyone, welcome to my April/May reading wrap up. This one is going to be a sit down version, not my normal little like vloggy style. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you haven't seen my other wrap ups, go freaking watch them. Anyways, I don't have time to explain. The first book I read in April was Deep Cuts by Holly Brinkley. This is about our main character Percy. She is like a music connoisseur, if you will, and a big like music critic too. She meets this guy, what's his name? John? Jack? Irrelevant. She meets this guy and he creates music and he kind of solely uses her to create his music. He's very reliant on her to give critical feedback that helps improve his music. They have a very like toxic on again off again relationship as well throughout their life from college to their more adult times. We're just kind of following our main character Percy. She's kind of like, I think people don't love Percy just because she's kind of pretentious. She's kind of awkward, but I personally really liked her. I think she is very knowledgeable about her craft and she was very good at it. I ended up giving this 4 stars because I did enjoy it. Couldn't tell you a single thing though, really about it though. The next book I read was Story of My Life by Lucy Score. This one is about our main character who is traveling to a new town because she's an author and she like reads this article about this guy and she gets inspiration of like living in this small town and like the dream guy is there to fix everything and blah 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 whatever. But while she's there she kind of gets into a little bit of trouble. Like she accidentally hits their signage, she accidentally smacks their city bird or something, I don't know. The guy that she actually wants to imitate her character off of helps her out and is very grumpy and kind of an asshole, but he has a heart of gold. Like we've seen this story before so many times, especially by Lucy Score. Things We Never Got Over is like basically the exact same thing as this story. That's why I liked it, but I didn't love it. And I think it was very similar to that story. Like the setup is so similar, the characters are so similar to an extent. There's just something about Things We Never Got Over that is just so much more better than this one. I feel like the writing in this one was also not great. It felt a little cringy. Like she calls him Captain Bearman. I don't know why. I ended up giving this book 3 stars. It's whatever. The next book I read was The 3-Body Problem by, I don't know how to say his name. Let's look it up. I don't want to like pronounce it wrong. Oh, not an ad. Shin. I'm so sorry. I'm trying. I listened to this and highly suggest you do not listen to this story. Read it because it is so confusing. There's a lot of like moving things happening and the story's character perspective changes a little bit and you don't realize it's changed until it's changed. Like you're like halfway in, you're like, oh wait, who are we following now? Set against the backdrop of China's Cultural Revolution, a secret military project sends signals into space to establish contact with aliens. An alien civilization on the brink of destruction captures the signal and plans to invade Earth. Meanwhile, on Earth, different camps start forming, planning to either welcome the superior beings and helping them take over a world seen as corrupt, or to fight against the invasion. That could be the best summary ever, because I literally couldn't even tell you what this book was about. Yes, I understood what was going on, but for like 50%, maybe not 50%, maybe like 30% of this book, had no idea what was going on. Truly, I had re-listened to it so many times that I thought like maybe I need to actually read this because I'm so lost. This book called me dumb in so many ways. It's not even funny. The plot of it was pretty interesting to get to, but I was like so lost so many times that it just wasn't enjoyable anymore. Like I just felt so dumb and I just was like, okay, I can't get into this either. At the end of the day, I ended up giving it 2 stars. The next book I read was Fearless by Lauren Roberts. This is the last book of the Powerless trilogy. I won't say too much about this because like I said, it's the last book, but I deeply enjoyed this book. It was so good. I loved the way it wrapped up. Peyton kind of goes through these trials again a little bit. I thought it was really good. And there were some twists in here I was not expecting. There were some that I was like, okay, yeah, we know where this is heading, okay? But there are some that I was like, oh. I ended up giving it 5 stars. I feel like the series, the middle book, meh. First book, pretty good. But this book I felt like was really well done and I really enjoyed it. Some of y'all might be mad at me for this book and I'm so sorry. But I read Onyx Storm. Okay, so let me air out my grievances really quick. I just did not care about this book at all. I liked Fourth Wing. I even thought Iron Flame was pretty good. This one, I was so bored. I didn't give one crap about these characters. Violet's annoying. Xaden's annoying. I love Rhydock or Redock. He's the only one I like. Everyone else is freaking annoying and I don't care about them. But Rhydock and me, even the ending was so fucking stupid. Maybe that's why when I finally got to like their quest and like finally got towards the ending and like all of like the plot twist and everything like that, I just didn't care anymore. I also felt like their characters were a little weird in this one. I don't know. I just truly just was not enjoying myself. It took me forever to finish. I think like 2 months, even 3 months, and I was forcing myself to finish it. And honestly, I didn't like it. I ended up giving it 2 stars, 2.5, 2 stars. I gave it 2 stars. I didn't hate this necessarily. Like I said, there's moments I enjoyed. I just didn't care. Man, people may hate me for this one too. Okay, next book I read in April was Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. He's a vet, and so she takes her kitten to the vet. They meet each other after like one interaction, and he's like, oh my god, she's so hot. I love her. Let me take her out on a date. And she's like, sure, okay. They go on a date. They know each other for maybe 12 hours. She moves to California because her mother has dementia. But after this date, he is like enamored by her. Like, I have to keep seeing her. I have to be with her. Okay, King, do your thing. They basically do long distance. He lives in Minnesota, she lives in California. It's really not about their relationship, like at all. It's more about her family dynamic now that her mother's been diagnosed with dementia, and like how they kind of cope and deal. Truly very sad. It made me like spiral a little bit because the mom in this book is quite young, and it made me feel like, wow, what if my mom has dementia like really early on too? And so then I started spiraling, and then I just wasn't having fun anymore. Like I said, it's not really about their romance, and their romance is so insta-lovey that I like honestly just didn't care about them. It was just not what I personally wanted in this book. I'm okay with having like a deep emotional like romance. They didn't even have a deep relationship. It was so instant that I was like, well, what's the f***ing point? I don't know. Unfortunately, I gave this 2.5 stars, I believe. Yeah, I gave this 2.5 stars. Like I said, there's points I did enjoy. I just wasn't really vibing with this one, which is sad because I was really excited about it. It is what it is. The last book I read in April was The Conditions of Will by Jessa Hastings. This is about our main character, Georgia, who is flying back home from London to South Carolina because her father has passed away. She just has a very tumultuous family relation. She's also meeting this guy there who is actually her brother's sponsor. It's kind of a romance between them. It just kind of spirals out from there. There's so much more to this book. I think this book only happens in like a week span or 2-week span or something like that, which is really crazy. I loved this book though, which is so surprising. I wasn't expecting to love it so much, but it was so bingeable to me. Her writing was phenomenal. There's parts I was sobbing at. I think Georgia is also an interesting character, and her relations to her family is insane. Her sister is like the worst character I've ever read about. I loved how this plot kind of kept going. Like this plot like really got interesting towards the end. I really liked her relationship with Sam. I thought it was also very cute. He's very like ride or die for her too, which I loved. I just really loved this story. I don't know. I gave it 5 stars. It was like so good. My favorite book from her so far. I read it in May was The Lady of the Lake by C.N. Crawford and Alex Rivers. This is the last book of the Avalon Tower series, I think that's what it's called. Like I said, don't want to say too much about this one too, just because it is the last book of the trilogy, but I really liked it. I thought it was pretty good. I think the beginning was kind of repetitive. Our main character was in some deep shit, so I was like, whew, how is she going to turn this around? Like, I had a good time. I needed something kind of light after reading The Conditions of Will, and I thought it was really fun. I gave it 4 stars. The next book I read was Watch Me by Tahara Mafi. This is the first book of a new spin-off she's doing with the Shatter Me books. We are following 2 characters. We're following James, who is the little brother in the Shatter Me series, and he kind of gets himself in some deep. He ends up going to this island that is kind of the last island of the reestablishment, and he kind of tries to infiltrate it to get some information, but nobody has ever came from the island and gone back. We have another main character named Rosabelle, who is an assassin for the reestablishment. This is so good. Like, for a first book, this was really fun. I think James is a really funny character. Like I said, we don't get to see his personality a whole lot because he's a little kid in the Shatter Me books, so to see him kind of grown up in this one is really fun. Rosabelle Annabelle is also, her story is so complex. It is so messed up. So she's an interesting character that way, just kind of seeing how she kind of deals with all of that. If you loved the Shatter Me books, you get to see some reoccurring characters in this one, which is also so fun. So it just was a very nostalgic read to me in general, and I gave it 4 stars. Next book I read, Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. I kind of had to read this one before I could read a different book, which we'll talk about in a minute. Oh, I never said this is the sequel. This is the second book of the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. It says it up here, okay? Read. This one, we are following Pip. She has a podcast now, and she is obviously going over the Andy Bell case and Sal's case, like whatever. This one, her friend comes up to her and says, hey, can you help find my brother? He has gone missing. Towards the end of the book, it kind of gets a little gruesome, I guess. So maybe a little trigger warning for that. It was really good. I actually really enjoyed this. I was really curious to see like where this mystery was going. It was very like laced and detailed and stuff like that. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I actually listened to this one. I really liked listening to it because obviously you get podcast clips in between, so highly recommend the audiobook. The next book I read was Wait For It by Mariana Zapata. This one follows our main character Diana. She moves to this town. She has 2 little boys. She hears this commotion happening outside, sees that this guy is getting beat up, goes and helps and saves him, brings him to his house. That's how she meets the male love interest. The male love interest is the guy's brother. They kind of have a weird situation too because they're neighbors, and also he is her little kid's baseball coach, so they have to spend a lot of time together. This one's just is kind of monotonous. It's very mundane. We're basically reading about Diana taking these boys to baseball practice, going to work, going home, whatever. I think their relationship with the kids is super cute. I think the kids are really cute in this book. Romance wise, it didn't start until 70% in. It was okay. It was slow burn, but then once the romance hit, I was like, whoa, this is like almost insta-lovey. Too slow burn where I felt like it was too instant then all of a sudden. I don't know if that makes sense. I kind of felt more indifferent by their romance than anything, but it was alright. I ended up giving this book 3.5 stars. Next book I read was A Love Letter to Whiskey by Candy Steiner. This is about our main characters, Bea and Jamie. Man, this book. She meets Jamie in high school. Jamie actually is dating her best friend in high school, and she's just like instantly like, I love him. He's so hot. We are connected. He's my whiskey. This book is very supposed to be like right person, wrong time. And this spans from like when they're teenagers to when they are adults. I feel conflicted about it just because I think her writing is really good. I loved her metaphors, the way she described things. I just hated these characters. They're so annoying. Did so many things that I was like, really? Why did you even do that? Why are we doing this? This makes literally no sense. I ended up giving this book 2 stars. I think her writing was really good and I would read another book from her. I hated these characters though. The next book I read was As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. You see why I read that one? Now I read this one. We're following. Pip is like not doing good. What happened at the end of the second one and this one, she is just not doing good. She is just spiraling out. While she's kind of spiraling out, she has a stalker. Her thing is to get her out of her funk is to kind of figure out who this stalker is. The first half of this book I thought was pretty good. I was like really enjoying it. Halfway into the book, like this big thing happens and you're like, oh shit. And then Pip does something, you're like, oh, like what the crap? The last half of this book is so fucking stupid because literally she's trying to kind of cover up something she's done. 1, boring. 2, it's pointless. And 3, it just completely destroyed her character for me. Whatever. I don't know. Just this last half of the book really ruined it for me and it made me really mad. Plot-wise, character-wise, I just didn't like it. So I ended up giving it 2.5 stars. The last half of the book really just pissed me off. Hey, I think the last time you saw me was like 3 weeks ago. I'm not. No? I don't know. I don't know when the last time you saw me. This is actually I think supposed to be only for April and May. I'm throwing June in it. I also forgot to mention that I read The Sirens by Amelia Hart in May too. It is told in 2 different perspectives or in 2 different timelines. In the present day, we are following this one girl. She's been having these weird dreams, and then when she wakes up from one of these dreams, she's actually choking her situationship, boyfriend, whatever. She feels like at her university she's gonna get kicked out, so she flees and she goes and finds her sister who also experienced like these really weird dreams. She wants to find her sister to see like why this is happening to her, but her sister is missing. And then our other perspective is about like these 2 sisters who are kidnapped or something, like they're prisoners or some sort, and they are sailing to a different area to kind of be like slaves. This book was fine. I do think like the past timeline, there is kind of no point. It's not connected to that storyline like literally at all. And then I feel like even the present timeline, it was a little too slow for my liking. There were some crazy plot twists that I was like, oh, was not expecting that. I ended up giving this book 3 stars. First book I read in June was Rewind It Back by Liz Ford. This is the last book of the Windy City series. This is about our main character Rio, which we get to meet him in the first book, Mile High, and this is his book. Him and this girl named Hallie, they were childhood best friends, they were next door neighbors, and they ended up getting together when they were kids, split up, and so it's been years later. He moves to Chicago. She happens to move to Chicago too to become an interior designer, and she just happens to live right next to Rio again. She's also interior designing his house too for him, so that's kind of how they have to communicate back again. What can I say that has not already been said about this book? I loved it. I have talked so much about my love for the series, my love for these books, love this romance series till the day I die. And I'm being serious. These are characters that just know each other and are each other's soulmates through and through. It's kind of like there is no one else but you. That's this book. I ended up giving this 4.5 stars. The only reason it wasn't 5 stars for me is because I feel like the ending was a bit dragged out. Like once they were in love, I was like, okay girl, let's wrap it up. Thank you Liz Ford for these books. Love you. Next book I read was Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. We are following our main character Joan as she applies to be one of the first female scientists to be a part of NASA. We're following kind of 2 timelines as well. We're following present day where Joan is in mission control and something bad has happened to the astronauts in space, and she's kind of trying to figure it out with them on how to get them back safely. And then also we're getting past timelines of how she applied to be an astronaut, her with her family relations, love and her relationships in general. I love this book. I love Joan. If you've not watched my mid-year wrap-up, I just gush about how much I love Joan as a character. She's so knowledgeable but also so passionate, and you can really feel that she is so passionate about it. There's so many good quotes in here. And then also the romance too is just very good, very cute, very soulmate coded as well. Ended up giving this 4 stars. Next book I read was Till Summer Do Us Part by Megan Quinn. This one is about our main character Scotty, who has lied to her boss saying that she is having marital problems in her relationship. Well, her boss is like, hey girl, my husband, he's a marriage counselor, let him help you out. So she's like, ah, now I gotta go find a fake husband because I don't actually have a husband. She finds this guy named Wilder. He is like, yeah, I want to do it. I want to work on my improv skills. Why not? During this marital counseling session, it really just goes to for Scotty because Wilder is like really into this improv and somehow gets them sucked into a summer camp for marriage problems. This is fun. It is silly, it is goofy. Like the beginning problem is very like ridiculous, but there's also some real problems that Scotty has. She was once married and she's recently divorced, and she's kind of working through those emotions at this marriage counseling camp, but it is just also a really fun summer camp vibe. I ended up giving this book 3.5 stars. I read The Couple Next Door by Sherry LaPena. This couple is going to dinner with their neighbors. They just so happen to leave their baby at home, and they're going back every couple minutes to go check on her and make sure she's still there, still good, whatever. They come home and their baby is missing. Maybe you shouldn't leave your baby at home. I don't know. We're really like diving into, obviously the baby's missing, we need to find the baby. They call the police. They're figuring out who took the baby, but also we're finding out a lot of like about the wife and a lot about the husband, how the couple that they have dinner with, how they are. A bunch of different secrets are getting revealed in this. I really truly thought I knew what was happening the entire time. I was like, yeah, I know the twist. You're not gonna get me. I know what's happening. Was completely wrong. This just kept me hooked the entire time. I think you probably could guess it. Honestly, I couldn't guess it to save my life. I thought it was very fast paced. I thought it was really fun. The twists were twisting until like even the very end. The last chapter to this, you're like, what the f Like, is there another book? I don't know, but it's crazy. I really enjoyed it. I ended up giving it 4 stars. The next book I read was Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Mellers. We are following 2 characters, Cleo and Frank. They meet each other, I think on New Year's Eve. They start dating. They start kind of like having a whirlwind romance. They get married very fast. Kind of one of the main reasons they get married is our main girl is not a US citizen, so she needs a green card. They do love each other, but they're very like compulsive. It really is just kind of like a whirlwind kind of romance where all of a sudden they're married in like 6 months. You're getting the story told from what's happening with them, but it's also we're getting stories told from like her best friend. We get a perspective from his little sister. We get a lot of different perspectives along with Cleo and Frank, and kind of like how their relationship kind of has affected other people in their lives as well. First half really got me hooked in, and I was like, okay, yeah, these people are crazy. These people are nuts. Whereas I felt like towards the later half, I was like, okay, now I am bored. You're getting told the story in different months. You may get one from June, and then the next chapter you get one from December. So you're missing a bunch of information in some of these chapters where they talk about like things that have happened in between the months, but you didn't necessarily get to see it. They're so like emotionally involved, but you are so disconnected just because you don't get to see what happened. I ended up giving this book 3.5 stars. I did like it to an extent. The first half really got me. The later half I was kind of like, okay, I'm kind of sick of their shit now. And the last book I read in June was Educated by Tara Westover. This is a memoir. Author is kind of telling us about her life experiences of kind of being like this nomad type of person, off the grid type of family. Her father like deeply distrusts the government, and her mother is also kind of brainwashed in that sense as well. She is an herbalist. She did not end up going to normal school. This is kind of like her journey of like her growing up with basically no schooling experience into her having a PhD from Harvard or Cambridge. I think that's the one she went to. From basically how education has like shaped her life, but also some of the downfalls with it having an education with her family. It is very interesting, very crazy. I would highly recommend listening to this one or even just reading it. It's very interesting to like hear that part too of kind of like how it helped her get out of it, but also how she resents it too, because it kind of put a divide between her and her family. I'm not gonna rate this one, but I will say I like deeply enjoyed this one. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye!